Champions League! First match day is done, ladies and gentlemen, and we're here to go right into the detail on what has transpired. Get all of your thoughts. Let us know in the comments what you all think. But George, we're going to start off at home because we have to. Now we've got all the English teams that we're going to go through, and then we're going to give a massive roundup at the end of all the big scores that did transpire in this week, because there were some crazy results. But let's start off at Chelsea, because obviously that's home for us. But we lost 3-1. And I feel like even with all the English teams, that is still the main talking point, aside from maybe Liverpool. We will talk about that next. Chelsea 3-1 losers at the Allianz Arena to Munich. We've seen the reaction, right, since that game. And now that's all out, whether it's from the pundits, whether it's from the general public. The general public, I think, that are non-Chelsea fans are kind of having a little giggle and going, see, the Tin Pot Trophy you won in the summer doesn't mean anything, does it? And the pundits are looking and going, well, your team isn't actually well equipped, it seems. And we got Chelsea fans that we got a lot that are calm and going, well, this is one game. Relax, it's Bayern Munich. We didn't play Basel, with all due respect. And we got other fans saying, well, you know what? We should have actually bought some important players in the transfer market. What are your thoughts? Let us know.
Well, first of all, I just want to clarify something, because I actually found the Mickey Mouse trophy yesterday, and I officially have a picture of it right here. That is what a Mickey Mouse trophy looks like. Now, if you can find me an image on the internet where Reece James lifts that trophy, then I will happily take back all my words. I'll swallow my pride. I'll admit that I was wrong. But unfortunately, you can't find it because it doesn't exist.
You took it literally.
I know I did, mate. I went scouting. I was like, I'm sick and tired of this, and I will keep defending in every shootout and GBFC video. But let's get to the point here. Chelsea, I think, after this international break, we had a 3-game window of opportunity. We've got Brentford away, Bayern away, Man United away. If you'd have said to me at the start of that, so before Brentford last week, you're going to win one, draw one, and lose one of those games, I'd have been like, okay, no worries. I'm not going to be too disappointed. Bayern Munich away, very difficult game. But now, off the back of that defeat, it makes that Man United game a must-win because we didn't beat Brentford. I think the Chelsea performance itself wasn't dreadful. I just think we gave them too much respect. And I think that is the learning curve that I really hope Maresca can imprint and inject on the players as a result of that. I think Bayern aren't amazing. Elise and Kane are. That was the difference maker.
Yeah, to be fair. We spoke about this. You can go and check out, our individual reviews on our channels. There's the watch along that you can go back and look at our reactions for that game. And again, just to make it clear, there's going to be a big watch along. Actually, we've got 2 watch alongs tomorrow. Liverpool-Everton. Make sure you're here. Merseyside Derby. We'll be doing that ourselves. And then Man United-Chelsea later on, where we are at the Belgian Beer Cafe for a massive one. The media reaction. Let's talk about the media reaction, right? Especially from pundits. Overall, I'm actually a little bit surprised, right? Considering that we played Bayern Munich. And I think when you're within the Chelsea fan base, we can all have these discussions in terms of the intricate details on what we think should have been done, what isn't right. We can have those little debates between ourselves. But people on the outside have all jumped to the conclusion that that summer trophy meant nothing. And they're almost like mocking this. Like, with all due respect, like we lost 3-1, like I mentioned, to Basel, for example. Well, no, this was Bayern Munich at the Allianz Arena. I'm surprised that it seems like the media aren't really heading in that angle. They're going down the angle of, hey, Chelsea ain't all that, when we didn't get battered. I don't get it.
But you know what it is, mate, though, don't you? There's obviously a nature right now of being oblivious to reality. It's a problem in the world, not just in football media, and it's trickled in, it's infiltrated into the system. And if you actually break down the game, I think you have to break down the game to understand the media narrative. Chelsea, I think, are unlucky again that decisions have gone against us here. I think Jonathan Tah could have easily been sent off, which changes the trajectory of the game. I don't necessarily think this was a sign that Chelsea can't compete at this level. I think if you'd have, obviously it doesn't look great. The English clubs could have had a 100% record this week if it wasn't for Chelsea. But we also had by far the most difficult match away at Bayern Munich. Is about as tough of a Champions League game as you could possibly have. So I'm not. It doesn't surprise me whatsoever because it fits with the whole story. It fits with the entire narrative, which is nobody wants to see Chelsea succeed. The narrative of Chelsea failing is going to get clicks and views, which is why I think our job and our role is to break down the intricacies, because I think that is what is the difference here. It is intricate moments and details that changed the way that this game panned out, and we just didn't manage the big moments well enough.
You're not wrong. To be fair, there is one common, I want to say maybe issue that I think everyone highlighted, no matter who they were, Chelsea, non-Chelsea, media, public, whatever, which I think is a point that does need some addressing. So let's talk about that before we move on to some of the other teams. The defense. Right, Chelsea were clearly lacking in the defensive department in that game. Are you concerned about, let's say, with Levi Colwill out, with having to rely only on Chalobah and Tosin right now? We've got people talking about whether they are of the level to compete against a team like Bayern Munich, for example, on a consistent basis in the Champions League. Do you feel concerned with the back line, or are you calm?
I think it's a double-edged sword because I'm concerned with the current performances of the back line, particularly in the last two games. I don't think Tosin has shone massively. A lot of people argued in my comment section that there wasn't too much difference between Tosin and Chalobah in the last game. So fundamentally, we are significantly weaker when probably our best centre-back was ruled out for the whole season before we've even kicked a ball, basically. That's an issue. The second issue is the potential reluctance, and we might be speaking too soon here because he might play tomorrow, the reluctance to use Josh Achampong. Now, I can foreshadow a situation here for Chelsea, which would be a disaster, and I almost mentioned Disassi disaster 2.0. When you've got a player of Achampong's ability that Maresca seemingly loves, when you see the defensive frailties of the last two games, you then have to act upon that and use the players that you've backed publicly, that we have not sold, that teams like Bayern Munich wanted to buy, okay? If you don't use those players who the club back, who every fan who watches him can see is a real talented defender, what you then risk is him wanting to leave. And what do Chelsea then go and do? Go and spend 40 million on players that are unproven from Monaco. And then the cycle continues. So I'm worried about the now, but I do think we have options that we could see come in and change it and make it better. So we've got a potential solution. Will we use it? Unknown. My biggest concern is by the time we can actually rectify it by signing players, is the season going to be gone? Like, will we look and be like, oh, we should have done it last summer?
Yep.
Because we probably should have done, really, shouldn't we? Like, Maresca made it clear at the start of August, he really wants a centre-back.
There we are. That's why I asked, because, I think that is going to be a theme that's going to grow in the fan base if the defence don't get their act together. Whether we actually needed to go and get a centre-back. So we'll see how that pans out. That seems like an issue for now. Bayern Munich, by the way, very disciplined performance. They looked... They weren't outstanding, but they knew exactly what they were doing. Very, very controlled, calm and collected performance, correct?
Yeah, well played Harry Kane,
yeah.
Well played Olise. Like, Michael Olise was fantastic. Cucurella's a very good left back, and Olise had his number for majority of the game. Well played.
Yeah, fair play. So that's Bayern Munich, 3-1 winners against the mighty Chelsea. Now, let's move to, and this game was hilarious. Liverpool, Atletico Madrid. Now, it's funny because we were doing the watch long for the Bayern Munich Chelsea game whilst this was going on. We've had to go back and actually watch and see what happened. But Liverpool blitzed it at the very beginning, right? Set the tempo really well. 2-0 up in no time. And then as the game goes on at Anfield, it all begins to slip away. But this is Liverpool that we're talking about. And if it wasn't for goals in the last 5-10 minutes, Liverpool probably get relegated. But because they're scoring goals in the last 5-10 minutes every single game, they're probably going to go and do a double. So talk to me about this. I mean, it kicked off at the end with Simeone. We've heard about the Liverpool fan and what he'd done, and he's had to come out with a statement to clarify that there was nothing, really bad that he said or anything. I mean, it's just all kicked off. But Liverpool have managed to somehow find a way again.
Mate, I think the fact that it's Robertson, Salah, and Van Dijk that scored those goals
Yeah.
is that for me, like this is quintessentially everything I expected from Liverpool this season, right? You've got the ability to score lots of goals, you've got the ability to concede them because defensively they still look frail.
They do. Yep.
And then you've got 3 players there that have been cornerstones, anchors for this football club for so many years now. The whole story is like, oh, Ekatike, Isak, Wirtz, everyone new coming in, but this was a huge win for Liverpool because, as you mentioned, again, leaving it late, but they've got the quality, they've got the players to do it, they've got the nous, the know-how in this tournament, and they do just show up on those Champions League nights. I know it's overdone, I know it's cliche, but great goal from Van Dijk to seal it in the 92nd minute against a very good side. And look, Simeone is the most Chelsea manager who's never managed Chelsea in history.
Tell me about it. Honestly.
What a geezer. What a geezer.
He would fit in like a glove. It's so, and we're never going to see it. That's what kind of stings, is that we're never going to get to see it. He is just not leaving that football club, is he? And to be fair, the comeback was not something I was expecting because Atletico Madrid, we know, are a very defensive unit, and if they tried to protect everything from minute one, they were 2-0 down. They had to claw back from behind, and they did that. But the way that they managed to concede at the very end, and then it all kicks off. Liverpool always find a way. You know, when we was talking about the Premier League and the fact that they managed to do it there, but it's like, is it deserved? Did they really deserve to get that last minute goal? When you're doing it against teams like Atletico Madrid now, that's a different kettle of fish. And they still somehow just find a way. But they've got these legacy players in their squad that you just mentioned, and it was all 3 of them that scored, basically, right? Those are the ones that the team can rely on when things are looking desperate, and they pull them out. So
I'll say this too, like we've mentioned it and we'll talk about it again. Liverpool-Everton Premier League predictions will be out later on today on ShootOut. But this Liverpool team haven't even fully clicked into gear yet, and yet they've won every single game. That is scary.
And they don't look brilliant, but they get the result. And it's always in the last minute.
Score everyone. Like, all right, we're going to concede 2 goals, and the trajectory of the game is going in Atletico's favour. But you know what? You got 2, we'll get 3. It's very good. Well, very, very good from Liverpool.
I will say this. You can't rely on that for the whole season. You're not going to, like, every single game get a goal in the 92nd minute. That's just not going to happen. So defensively, they might have to tighten up. But this is the whole argument. Are they actually going to get even better offensively? Because these new players are going to gel. They've got some top signings in. Isak when he comes back. I mean, there's things that they are looking forward to offensively. So let's see how it's all going to balance out. But Liverpool getting the job done against a very good Atletico Madrid side. So respect to them. The next one that we're going to talk about, and this is where we done the watch along for this, but
well, did we? You did.
Well, I did. You about a quarter of the way did, until when every single device stopped working. But Athletic Bilbao, Arsenal, 2-0 winners on the day, Arsenal. And Arteta has come out looking like, you know, prime Jose Mourinho from this.
It's Arsenal again are just getting the job done right now, and I think it shows the golf in quality potentially. It's 2 teams here from England, Liverpool, Arsenal, 2 of the best teams in the country, and 2 very good teams in Spain, Atletico Madrid, Athletic Bilbao. But Arsenal were just very comfortable, weren't they? Like, I mean, I didn't fully watch the game, as you know. We had technical difficulties, but Eunice was obviously keeping us all up to date on the watch along. But Arsenal to go away from home like that in match week number 1, I said in the predictions, I think Arsenal win all 8 games. I stand by that. We're 1/8 of the way there. I don't want it to happen. Just want to clarify. I don't want this.
Yeah.
But it very much could happen. Arsenal just do look prepared for multiple situations right now. Very good away win.
I have to say, and there was Arsenal fans watching this game that I think were agreeing with, I said it on the watch along, and it just turned out to be completely wrong, right? Which is when Arsenal were at 0-0, it seemed like it was just going to head and finish 0-0. Even Bilbao were actually getting themselves into the game, and I thought, you know what, Bilbao can nick one here. They're taking the initiative. They are starting to move the ball really, really well, and Arsenal look a bit on the back foot. And then Arteta makes a very, very weird, awkward substitution, which doesn't make sense in the moment. And then what do you know? You know, he takes off Eze, brings on Martinelli, Madueke stays on, and we're all like, what? I even saw there were some other Arsenal creators and reactors that were all like, hang on, what's he done? Trossard's on the pitch as well. He brings him on. What happens? Trossard assists Martinelli, and Martinelli assists Trossard. And it's just two super subs to get both goals and assists, and Arteta comes out looking like Pep Guardiola, prime Pep, basically. Unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable. So you could say deserved, because Arteta used what he could use, and it paid off brilliantly.
Big game coming up as well on Sunday. So to be able to bring two wingers off, put two wingers on, and then those wingers win you the game, brilliant squad management from Mikel Arteta. Pains me to say it, but they're looking good.
That's not something we say often. And we have said that this season Arteta needs to, earn his pay, really, and, be able to not have any excuses, because there are none. He's got everything at his disposal. But this game was an example of him doing just that. So credit to Arteta, credit to Arsenal. They pick up 3 points in this league phase. Good start for them. The next one, we move to Newcastle, Barcelona. Now,
wow.
I was watching this, and this was very reminiscent of the Chelsea game, where Newcastle,
in terms of the way that they started well,
Newcastle played well. Newcastle played really well. But football doesn't wait for who plays well. Football decides to strike at opportunities, and if you leave yourself exposed for a slight second, once again, which was Newcastle here, they get punished. And Marcus Rashford decides to finally flip and show up. Thomas Tuchel's in the stands looking, oh my God, do I have to pick him now? Unbelievable performance.
Mate, honestly, I'll focus on Newcastle first, because there's a lot of good things about what Barcelona did last night. But Newcastle, if they somehow kept Isak this season, they would have beaten Barcelona at home last night.
I think so.
Because that thing was like the 23rd minute of the game. Balls played in. Anthony Elanga is so fast. Not only is he quick, but the delivery was on a plate. And then Harvey Barnes is kind of just like half-assed it, and it was a great save from the keeper. But if they had a clinical player that wasn't Harvey Barnes there, Newcastle, if they'd have gone 1-0 up in this game, the atmosphere, right? I had my TV on like 5 volume because Georgie was asleep and I didn't want to watch it in the living room. I wanted to stay in bed. Screw it, right? The noise at 5 volume was deafening.
It was
absolutely deafening. Like, Newcastle created a cauldron atmosphere. Credit to their fans. Credit to the stadium last night. St James's Park was rocking. But this Barcelona team have just got a lot of ability. And do you know what the crazy thing is about Rashford? Those 2 goals are incredible.
Yeah.
Like, everyone will obviously talk about the rocket, the pile driver that goes in off the crossbar. But even the header, right? That is fantastic. What a goal that was. And Barcelona will feel a big sense of relief coming away from St James's with 3 points. And they can thank Rashford for that. Pedri was great too. Fermin Lopez, very good too. But great result for Barcelona.
No, to be fair, I have to give credit to Hansi Flick, because he used Rashford in a way where Rashford is obviously accustomed to Premier League football. It was such a logical and wise decision to deploy Rashford in that way, because you just know against a Premier League team, your best bet is using someone of, I don't want to say that magnitude, but that experience maybe, because he's the one that's best accustomed to playing against Premier League teams in that whole Barcelona side. And it worked to a T. Rashford was basically looking like, let's say we were watching Aston Villa, we were watching Man United, and he's just there on that left-hand flank and just doing his thing. And it paid off. So I want to give credit to Hansi Flick for how he used Rashford. The goals were phenomenal. The first one was a good goal, but the second one, I mean, what a strike. What a statement that was. And I'm not surprised. And it goes back to the point that I want to say, and I don't know if there's any Man United fans watching, but when players leave that football club, they do things like this.
Yeah, it's a damning indictment on the state of Manchester United week after week when we see these players. And like, I don't know if you saw the reaction. Like, Sancho posted both goals on his story.
Oh,
Bruno's commenting. Garnacho's commenting.
No way.
Anthony's commenting. Like, all of those Man United exiled players that have like gone on to do bigger and better things. They're all kind of galvanized as a group, and they're like, yeah, that's what our boy can do. Like
they're gonna start a WhatsApp. They're gonna start a WhatsApp group chat. Just United Exiles.
Mate, I'm sure if it doesn't already exist,
if it doesn't already,
it will do somewhere. Someone's made a parody version for sure.
Mate. But you know what? You mentioned something which is completely right. And it's just, I don't want to say if Newcastle were wasteful, but Ashley Barnes, right?
Harvey Barnes,
Ashley Barnes. Oh my God.
They could have done with Ashley Barnes.
They could have done with Ashley Barnes, yeah.
You
know what I mean? Like, yeah, no, flipping, I don't know why Burnley entered my head. I don't understand. I've got PTSD from that transfer window where we were linked with him, I think. But Harvey Barnes, right? Harvey Barnes was, again, shall I say wasteful? There were 2 opportunities in that first half where it was pretty much on the plate, and you bury them. Against Barcelona, you bury them, because it goes back to that point that we made for the Bayern Munich Chelsea game. When you don't put your opportunities away like that, you get punished. That was it for Newcastle. Newcastle realistically could have had the chance to go 2-0 up in that first half, and that would have been a completely different game. And credit to them for even coming back to get that first goal that they scored. All of a sudden you're thinking, hang on, something's on there. Can they actually do it? Too little, too late, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But we said this in the predictions. Newcastle were going to give Barcelona a really good game. They were going to push. It wasn't going to be the Newcastle that we're kind of accustomed to in the Premier League at the moment, where they look like they're struggling a bit. When it's Champions League, you're going to feel it. And St. James's Park was loud. Credit to the fans. I wonder now, going into the Premier League, if they're going to suffer because of it, or are they going to maintain? I don't know.
This is the thing with an Eddie Howe team, isn't it? There is so much energy game by game, but like even Anthony Gordon said it in his interview about how you don't get that kind of level of pressing from an opposition in the Premier League. Like obviously there's some teams that can do it incredibly well, but the way that Barcelona just suffocated the Newcastle players yesterday, like they had to work so hard to come away with nothing.
Yeah.
So I think it will affect Newcastle this weekend, but you'll find out about that in the next shootout video later.
Looking forward to it. Now, that's Newcastle-Barcelona. The last one is none other than the Spurs.
So we're not going to talk about Man City then?
It's a very good point.
Well, we can mention it anyway.
That's a very good point.
Easy win.
To be fair, actually, yeah, no, because I've not seen the graphic. Here it is. Yeah, the graphics here. Man City, yeah, you know what? Let's do Man City Napoli first. It's got to be done. Antonio Conte with Napoli. Now, for Napoli, it's a little bit, well, it's not unfortunate. It was kind of deserved, but they go down to 10 men.
Game over, mate.
It's game over.
It was so one-sided. That was the easiest game that, like, it's actually annoying, really, because that was just too easy for Man City. Like, it didn't really hinder Manchester City's ability to field a strong team against Arsenal, did it? Like, so comfortable.
Yeah. And to be fair, Napoli, I think, had a game plan, had a way. We saw that even Kevin De Bruyne, who was on the pitch, and it's a shame that he had to get sacrificed because of the red card. You'd think he might have been a really good asset. But that changed the game. Overall, it was too early to get a red card. They end up with 10 men, and then all of a sudden, they're just chasing. And to be fair to Napoli, they didn't fold immediately. It was in the second half where things started really going in Man City's favour. We had the Erling Haaland goal, we had the Doku goal, and the space was there for Man City to get into, and they utilised it. There's nothing more than that, really. Antonio Conte and Napoli were actually doing pretty well, I think, before that red card, and even after that for the first half, but they just couldn't hold on.
Yeah. No, good easy win for them. We could talk about Tottenham now if you like.
Well, congrats to City. Nice, comfortable win. And yeah, we'll see how this is going to affect Napoli for the future game, as they now have a suspension. But Tottenham, nothing really happened.
Own goal goes, like, to be fair, I'll say this about Spurs, right? How much better defensively do they look now under Thomas Frank? Like, night and day.
Yeah.
Yes, they had so many injuries, and these players, like the back four was what? Porro, Romero, Van de Ven, and Jed Spence. That's a solid back line, and they looked solid. They looked strong, and I think the thing with Spurs, right, is always the same conversation. Like, all right, you're 1-0 up. What does that mean if you're Tottenham? Doesn't mean anything until the whistle's blown at the end of the 90 minutes. Now, even in the first month of the season, things are flowing very nicely. It's another clean sheet, and they managed to rotate the squad. Like the midfield was Bergval, Bentancur, Sarr. You leave Palhinha off on the bench, who I think is like a proper Champions League player. Palhinha,
100%.
He's got the strength, the quality, and Tottenham were just good. They just got the job done, and that's what they're doing at the minute. They're just winning football matches. Well played, Spurs again. I hate it, mate. I can't deal with it.
The depth as well that they've got with Kudus, and they've got Simons, and they've got Richarlison. They can bring them off they can bring them off. You bring on players like Kolo Muani, for example, on a loan. Flipping outrageous. I still can't get my head around that, because I reckon, maybe we could have done with that. But with Tottenham, you mentioned that defensively they look better. I think that's a double-edged sword. I think there is the case of, yes, they are, without a doubt, defensively better. And I also want to say, as George has disappeared, he'll be back. But I also want to say, there we are. I also want to say, with Tottenham compared to last season under Ange, is it really that harder to get a better defence? Because they were just playing, they were playing without a defence last season, pretty much. Do you know what I mean? But they have rectified it. They have rectified it. They do look like they're a lot more compact, and they're a lot more defensively stable, and they are using that. And this performance, it wasn't ugly, it wasn't entertaining, but it got the job done. And I feel like it was a little bit of you could say a stalemate between the two. I mean, statistically, it was a stalemate, but one own goal changes the game. Tottenham pick up 3 points, and they'll take it just to set the tone now. It's the first game. It's just the beginning. Whether win or lose, it doesn't really mean too much for anyone right now, but it's a good start. So credit to Tottenham. Champions League, they pick up 3 points.
Big win.
Yeah. Now, some of the other games that went down, there were some shocks. We can read out PSV lost to Union Saint-Gilloise 3-1 at home, which was we actually watched that before our watch along. And that was pretty unbelievable. Benfica losing to Karabag, which was shocking, and resulted in Benfica sacking their manager, which means now they've got Jose Mourinho. What a turn of events that is. The Juventus 4, Borussia Dortmund 4 game, 2 goals in stoppage time, whilst Ben Sebaini scoring the penalty for Dortmund in the 86th minute, if I'm not mistaken. So they were about to win the game, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, stoppage time, they've just pulled 2 back. 4-4, unreal. Real Madrid 2, Marseille 1. A little bit of a surprise, that one. Marseille played really well.
Mbappe 2 goals. Looking good.
Yeah. Olympiacos 0, Paphos 0, Slavia Prague 2, Bodo Glimt 2. You watched Slavia Prague and said they'd done really, really well.
That was good. Like, Bodo Glimt came back, I think, but the atmosphere looked incredible. Like, really proper Champions League game.
It's Slavia Prague.
Both teams gave everything.
Yeah, you go to those places, flipping, you could play a League Cup game and they'll show up like it's a Champions League final. So, credit. Ajax 0, Inter 2. You could say pretty much expected in that regard. PSG 4-0 winners at home to Atalanta. Again, they expected. They do. PSG. They do, without a doubt. Club Bruges 4, Monaco 1. That's a battering.
Very good. That Club Bruges play great football. I watched that game as well in bed last night. Club Bruges are fast. They've got a serious attack. Like, the way that they move the ball forward, they're actually a team to keep an eye on this season. Chelsea aren't playing them. I don't know if any of the other English clubs are, but that'll be a tricky game for whoever gets them. Fair play. It'll be an interesting one to keep an eye on, because you don't get that sort of score just by luck. So keep your eyes on Club Bruges. They could be a dark horse in this league phase, whether they do make it. Copenhagen 2, Bayer Leverkusen 2. That's a bit poor for Bayer Leverkusen overall, I would say, but away from home. Eintracht Frankfurt 5, Galatasaray 1. They went 1-0 down too, and I literally was going to stick a bet on Galatasaray to win that in an accumulator, and thank goodness I didn't. Don't. And Sport in Lisbon 4, and Kara Almaty 1. Now, we've got vested interest in this because of Quenda at Sport in Lisbon, who scored an absolutely fantastic goal. Yeah. Eden Hazard. Dastan Satpayev for Kairat Almaty too, who did not expect to be in the competition.
Yep.
He played full 90 minutes as well, by the way. He's what, 16,
He's
17 years old now?
I think he's 17 now, yeah.
Yeah,
but still
and he'll
really
join
young.
Chelsea next summer.
Yep.
He looks like Aguero, mate. He plays just like Sergio Aguero. Keep an eye on him. But Quenda, a goal and an assist.
Yep.
Like, I'm telling you now, I'll say this here on ShootOut. I've not really spoke too much about Quenda on my channel. If he can work on his out of possession, I think we're talking on the ball about one of the most talented looking wingers that I have seen in recent time. His feet are outrageous. His decision making when he's got the ball is superb. If he can just do better off the ball, I think Chelsea could have one of the signings of the season next year already.
It's interesting. We'll keep an eye because there's not many people that are looking at Quenda. But when you do see him play, you do get exactly the same sentiment as George has just outlined. So let's see how this one turns out. Now, the league as it's looking at the moment, and it's match day 1. So, take this with a pinch of salt. Eintracht Frankfurt are leading.
Big up.
PSG, Club Brugge, Sporting Lisbon, Union Saint-Gilloise, Bayern Munich, Arsenal and Inter all complete the top 8 at the moment. And then we've got Man City and Karabag in 9th and 10th, Liverpool in 11th, Barca in 12th. We go all the way down, Chelsea in 28th.
Great. Love it.
Napoli are 32nd. Monaco, Galatasaray and Atalanta complete the bottom 3. It's just a mess at the moment. We'll allow this to settle for the next couple of games and then we're going to get a good idea of where things are heading. But that's your Champions League roundup. Let us know in the comments what you guys think about, all the English teams. So you can let us know in the comments, as well as anyone else that you want to make an opinion about. Let us know down below. And we'll catch you later on today for our Premier League predictions, where we've got a couple of big ones. Liverpool, Everton, Merseyside Derby, United, Chelsea at Old Trafford. Can Chelsea finally break the curse? Well, be here and we'll give you all of our predictions. So we will catch you then. See you later.
Bye-bye.